Hello, and welcome to another great episode of TED Talks XYZ. Now, this episode is going to be pretty scandalous because it is about the fact that all of the Gellers in Friends have all had their share of sex tapes. Now, they've all made sex tape as well as they've all had their sex tapes shown or partially shown in episodes. And the storylines surrounding them are actually really interesting. So, the first that we're going to get into is Ross and Rachel's sex tape, but of course, which came out. It was in the one with the videotape, which was season 8, episode 4. It came out October 18th, 2001. And it's a very interesting storyline because the reason why Ross and Rachel have a sex tape is an actual accident. Ross was recording himself trying to be better at flirting with women after Joey tells him that he should practice telling the Europe story, which is Joey's go to story when he's trying to get a girl to sleep with him. And so he ends up recording himself a couple of times. And then as he's doing it, Rachel comes in and he just plays it off as if he was just just talking to himself or whatever. And they end up just talking, drinking, hanging out a little bit, and then Rachel tells Joey the Europe story. And this is interesting because they were arguing in the episode of which person was the initiator when they had sex, because this sex tape resulted in Rachel getting pregnant and then giving birth to Emma, which also, by the way, I find that incredibly weird. They named her Emma because it is very close to Emily, which is who Ross married, but they ended up divorcing ultimately because he said Rachel's name at the altar. So it's kind of weird that they named their baby Emma. So, but yeah, no, they had just the one sex tape, and it was really interesting because it proved once and for all that that Rachel was actually the one who it's her fault they actually have a kid because she seduced Ross. And the next sex tape we'll talk about is Monica and Dr. Richard Burke. Now, they have a sex tape, which we don't find out until the one with Ross's inappropriate song, which is season 9, episode 7, came out November 14th, 2002. And in the episode, how they discover the sex tape is that Joey hears that Richard, Monica's ex, is moving out of his apartment, and he decides that him and Joey should secretly go over and try and find any information or anything that's related to Monica in his apartment. And then they find a tape that says Monica. Now, one would assume that that is a sex tape, so they brought it back, and after a little bit of deciding on whether they should watch it or not, they eventually put it on, and they find out that Monica's no longer on the tape. Richard actually taped over her with another woman, which Monica was upset about before Chandler obviously said, "You can't be upset about that." And it was really interesting. So that was a sex tape with Monica and Richard. And also Richard has, he actually has the most sex tapes in the entire series because he has one with Monica and this other woman who remained nameless. So that's pretty hilarious. And now the next sex tape is Monica and Chandler, but they didn't make a sex tape. What happened is that they were about to make a sex tape. They were in Joey and Chandler's apartment in the living room, which I thought was very weird with the tripod set up. And this episode is the one with Ross's Sandwich, airing December 10th, 1998, season 5, episode 9. And Joey actually comes home. The reason why they don't make the tape is Joey comes home early and sees what they're doing. And then so they run into their room, and then Joey is actually coming home with a date, and she sees the camera in the living room and thinks that he's trying to record them having sex on their first date. Obviously leaves in disgust. And then Rachel sees all of this happen, just the part with Joey and the girl, not Chandler and Monica by the camera, and she basically shames him for being a sex hound. Now, the most interesting sex tape and the most intricate storyline about the sex tape is I'm going to say is Judy and Jack Geller's sex tape. Now, their sex tape is from the one with the prom video, which is season 2, episode 14, came out February 1st, 1996. And Judy and Jack's sex tape comes out in the episode where Ross and Rachel end up getting together for the first time. They end up getting a video from Jack and Judy, Monica's parents, about their prom video. So Monica plays the video, and it shows Monica and Rachel going to prom, in which Ross goes to great lengths to try and impress and make Rachel happy, as it seems that her date wasn't going to show up for the evening, and eventually he did. And so what happens is they end up kissing when she finds out what he did. But that's not the interesting part. So at the end of the episode, Monica is watching the end of the tape during the end credits, and right at the end of the prom videotape, taped over the end, is Jack and Judy's sex tape. And now it's obviously very unsettling for Monica to see that. But what I thought was really weird about that situation is that they taped over their children's prom video to make a sex tape. Like, I understand that maybe they didn't have a whole bunch of videos, but that in itself just kind of seems like a moral gray area, to go from a video of your children's prom to you recording over it having sex with each other. Now, related to that, and this is a little bonus information, is that Monica actually sees, or partly hears, however you want to say, her parents have sex in the episode where Joey moves out, season 2, episode 16, which premieres February 15th, 1996. So this is 2 weeks after, 2 episodes after they discover her sex tape. And it's during Jack and Judy's birthday party, where Monica is dating Richard, and she gets trapped upstairs in the bathroom when Judy comes up to fix her makeup, and then Jack comes in after her, and they end up having sex, and because Jack is like, "Come on, it's my birthday," and that's the best argument a man can come up with, is that it's his birthday, and so they end up having sex while Monica tries to not listen or whatever, and but then they go downstairs, and what's crazy is that in that episode, Jack also tries to convince Richard to give him details about this new 20-something girl that he's dating, and teasing that he should let her try him out, if and letting Richard use his Porsche, and then jokes that, oh yeah, I would never let Richard touch the Porsche, but then not knowing all the time he's making these jokes that it's actually his daughter that he's talking about. And so yeah, it's actually really super super crazy that everybody in the Geller family actually has sex tapes, and not only that, that a lot of the people have actually seen the sex tapes, because I remember there's an episode where Ross and Rachel actually watched their sex tape, and they're like, "Oh, that's kind of hot," and then about a minute in, they're like, "That's the most disgusting thing I've ever seen." So that's pretty funny. But yeah, that concludes today's episode. I really hope you enjoyed the content. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please subscribe to my videos. It really does help me in the long run. And yeah, I really appreciate you, and I hope you have yourself a fantastic day. Thank you very much. And that is it for Tread here at Tread Talks.